Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode here on the Crash Out League TV. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, you might want to buckle in once again because, man, we finna go for a little journey, man. But it's your host, A-Dub, taking you on that ride. And my co-host, Manny. Boy, you know, the one thing I forgot to do last week, man, let's give a warm welcome to our boy. Welcome him back to the show. You know, he took a week off
Appreciate it.
there.
Appreciate it.
Came back and gave us beautiful content. And, you know, man, he back again to do it once again. Man, go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into
What it do, baby? Man, happy to be here with y'all
it.
today. Listen, we got ourselves week 13, man. Wherever you're tuning in from, I hope you are ready for today's show because we got yourselves fantasy recap here in the Crash Out League. A-Dub, go ahead and pull up these scores. If you didn't tune in last week, man, there were a lot of playoff implications happening throughout the entire league. And really, losses and wins, they came through. They came through for some people, and this is just how fantasy goes, man. Sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't. But as you can see there, just going through some of these scores, Smooth Criminal takes down two Goliaths in back-to-back weeks, going one and then one again. And God bless Kamerica, so he takes down Coach Mike. On the other, as we continue to go, you see there, Mills Mafia takes down Shake and Bake. Team Fabo dropping it to Coach Run It Back, Coach J Gibb, and Run It Back. Team Luck solidifies himself as the man at the top of the mountain, taking on Team DMV Bombers. And then Mocity Menace gets his win against his rival, really, is what you can call it, in Coach Cam. So kind of getting the last laugh there, A-Dub.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it no better than you. You know, these coaches was going back and forth the whole season. With one coach trying to fight his way in and another coach trying to solidify himself, ain't no better stage to get bragging rights than putting a coach out that was talking that much smack to you throughout the season. But
No,
that's just
no,
me, though.
definitely. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really think that that's our game of the week because if you see there, you go ahead and let's
Hmm.
see some of these details. It was a 119-114 win. It was only a 5-point difference for Coach Cam and Coach Breach. And these two, I mean, again, we talk about it. These two were going at it all season. And again, there's certain things that you're like, man, I wish I could have changed that, or maybe I should have gone there. Again, we go ahead and look at the benches really if we can, A-Dub, and go ahead and see the tough thing is that for Coach Cam, not a lot else could have been done. You could have plugged and played maybe a couple other people. As we see, Jonathan Taylor just didn't have the game that really Coach Cam needed. That was the biggest thing. I think that was the biggest difference maker is that Coach Cam didn't have it. But like you see there, Tank Dell had himself 10. It's a difference of 7. He would have won the week. Possibly switching out Najee Harris would have given him maybe that edge. But again, just it's one of those things where that's how fantasy goes. You trust your guys, and unfortunately, this week just didn't show up for you.
Yeah, I know every time we get on here, it's always in hindsight, like what you could have done, but you didn't know it was going to happen this way. I mean, honestly, if you asking me, in the PPR league, I always try to go wide receiver or running back in my flex spot. But when you got somebody like Jonathan Taylor who is put on a stepping stool that he is a receiving back
Right.
and a rushing back,
Yeah.
I can see the upside of choosing him over Tank Dell with Nico Collins coming back and Joe Mixon doing what he's doing in the offense. So I don't blame him, but like you said, not plugging them in, it hurt him at the end, and it would have
Yeah.
got him the win.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, man, you can't dwell on it too much, right? And so then, of course, really, in terms of upset of the week, I think this one's obvious, A-Dub. I think it's Smooth Criminal
Mhm.
going back to back, taking down consecutive number one rankings in what
Yep,
was last week in Coach Luck, and now here in Coach Mike. And it was a big time 153 to do it.
yep. I mean, when you want to say what's a team that showed up for his coach, this is a perfect example. 28 from Mahomes, 20 points for Devon Acham, 20 points from Cooper Cup, Terry McLaurin with 21, TJ Hawkinson with 18, CD Lamb with 16, Brandon Aubrey with 10. I mean, usually when you see a high score from a coach, one of his players just went nuclear. They either went for 40 or 50, but as you can see here, honestly, his team just wanted it. Like we just previously stated in the previous video, and May just said, he had to have it. If he wanted to even try to smell to try to get into the playoff race, he had to win this week. And we'll see later on if this was enough to get him in.
Right. I mean, hey, all these 20 bombs coming from that team, man. It's like Andrew Jackson is coming in the building, man. All these 20s thrown around. But again, that's just how it goes here in the fantasy league, right, man? Getting dubs. And then of course, we had talked about this before the show, A-Dub. We didn't have a crash out of the week. But after some deliberation, after some review, I think we have one. I think we decided to put one in, and sure enough, I think it's going to be Team Shake and Bake. And now you'll see why later on, folks. But for right now, we're just letting you know it's the loss that's going to be a big factor as to why he ends up being crash out of the week. But yeah, we're going to show you right now here in a little bit, because if this happened to you, I think you'd end up being a crash out as well. So, A-Dub, without further ado, let's take a look at this playoff picture, man. No more power rankings. We need a playoff picture right now.
Yeah, I got you.
So as we pull this up,
Let's go
we
ahead.
wanted to let you know Shake and Bake had himself in the playoff seat. He was right there. He was in contention. And a win didn't even have to be a major point win. Just a win would have gotten him into the playoffs. However, if A-Dub could please pull this up.
Yeah. So here you go, right here. We got the playoff pictures for you guys right here via the Crash Out League, you know what I mean, from the commissioner himself. Let's go ahead and break it down. From the previous week, this was the rankings before we started the last game of the last week here in the regular season. GBK was at 1, Team Luck was at 2, Team Fabo was at 3, Mocity Menace was at 4, Mills Mafia at 5, Shake and Bake at 6, Smooth Criminal at 7, Team Fuck'em at 8, Run It Back at 9, and Team DMV Bombers with the wonderful logo, by the way.
Beautiful.
Number 10. So this is what the stuff was previous. If the playoffs had started the week before that,
Right.
1 through 6 would be in the playoffs, and that'd be our
1 through 6 you're
playoffs.
in.
But we had one more week to go, and one more week could be devastating to change this whole picture. So just remember this picture right here.
And what a week it
So,
was, A-Dub.
yeah, man. So top 2. Who finished in the playoffs race in the top 2? We all know it was between Team Luck and Team GBK. Team GBK was up one game against Team Luck, but Team Luck evened it back out by getting a win and GBK taking a loss. So at number 2, we got Team GBK. You know, unfortunately, he was upset this week against Smooth Criminal, and bringing him back even in record with Team Luck, but lower points puts him in number 2. So obviously, team number 1 is Team Luck. You know, so congratulations to you, to both of you coaches, actually, because man, you know, in this
Beautiful
league,
job. Beautiful job.
the top 2 teams get a bye week. So they finally, through all the battles of every week, get to sit back and relax and just analyze the game for the first week with no stress. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. I mean, big time shout out to both these coaches. They've been two of the best teams throughout the entire year. And then, yeah, Team Luck has been putting up major points throughout the entire season. It ends up coming at the end to help them out and secure that number 1 spot. So, once again, shout out to both these coaches getting that 1 and 2 spot, man. They got themselves a bye week. They've earned it.
So we showed the top 2. So what's next? We gotta show you guys the bottom
Ooh.
4 of who made the playoffs. Meaning this is teams 3 through 6. Since this
Yep.
is only a 6-man playoff race, it's only 6 teams that can make the playoffs. So let's go ahead and introduce them. At number 3, we got Mills Mafia. Mills Mafia, You
The
know,
defending
got
champ.
them a big time win this past week. They was fighting all the way at the bottom from number 5 and getting this win shot them all the way up to be the favorite in the bottom 4 at number 3. At number 4, Mocity Menace. Mocity Menace came in late against Team Fuck'em this last week, got them a win, but unfortunately not putting up enough points in that win, and Mills Mafia was able to overcome the point difference and go right above him. But he still is in the
You're in the
top of the
playoffs.
bottom
Yep,
of the 4. He is
absolutely.
a favorite. Now, at number 5, Team
Team
Fabo, another
Fabo.
team who was at the top. They was always in the playoff contentions
Yep,
and things. You know, unfortunately, they slid from 3 all the way to 5. But at the end of the day, you're in the playoffs, baby. You know, you made
absolutely.
the playoffs, you made the cut. Now,
Right.
the biggest question that we're all waiting for is who
Who would
is
be
the
at number
number
6?
6?
Yep, absolutely.
We have teams tied at 6-6, but the points come in and it matters at the end, like we've been saying all season long.
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely.
team would be Smooth Criminal. Congratulations to all the coaches in the bottom 4 who fought and clawed all the way to the finish and prepared to go into the playoffs with a playoff mindset in the last week of the regular season. And that made the difference in you
Right.
guys making the playoffs.
Absolutely. Now, A-Dub, in case people don't understand, Shake and Bake was at 6. A win gets him
Mm-hmm.
in. He's solidified. He might even jump to 5 based on how some of the things shook out. But we talked about
Yeah.
this all the time for the entire season, really, was Shake and Bake and Coach MB figured out a way to play defense. But unfortunately, that didn't translate into major wins for him. It was just kind of close games that he was able to pull out. And so, yes, it helps your record. But as you mentioned, there are 3 teams, 2 in the playoffs and 1 that isn't, that are tied at 6-6. But because of the point differential and a couple other things shaken out, Smooth Criminal literally leapfrogs all the way into the playoff picture. And unfortunately, somebody can't make it, and that is Shake and Bake, only having 8 points on the season. So that is the reason why he is not currently sitting, getting ready for the playoffs.
No, couldn't have said it better myself. So just so you guys can see it, just like Manny just said, the first 4 out of the race for the championship. Shake and Bake at 7. Running back who was able to get a win this week went from 9 to 8. Team Falcon, who got a loss this week, went down from 8 to 9. And Team DNV Bombers,
Yeah,
10.
yeah, absolutely. And, you know,
So,
hey, when we start looking at this playoff picture, right?
mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really interesting matchups that can kind of go down. There's a lot of ones that I'm like, okay, this could be dangerous. This team could be dangerous, especially in this first bracket that you see here on the right. This team could be really dangerous. They find themselves in the finals, and for me, I think the biggest probably menace to get themselves to cause a lot of trouble is Mocity Menace. He's been putting up a ton of points throughout the entire year, right? I mean, it's just sometimes he just didn't have the ball fall his way, but he was able to put together some wins, able to get hot, and I think he's going to continue that in the playoffs. So for me, if I got to think about somebody who from these lower seeds could possibly upset a big time team in Team Luck or GBK, I think it's got to be Most City Menace.
I mean, I love that take. Everything you're saying is correct. He's been putting up major points all season. Everybody else has been having season highs again. So why count him out? I feel you. But I'm going to ride with a different dark horse, a different
Go for it.
person who could shake up this bracket. And I'm going to go with Smooth Criminal.
Okay, yeah.
Hear me out. Hear me
Talk
out.
to him. Talk to him.
Smooth Criminal in the last 5 games to determine the playoffs, he won 4.
Okay.
And the one that
Yeah.
he lost was against Mocity Menace, who was number 3 at the time, by 4 points. 4. And it
Yeah.
was off a critical mishap by plugging in uh, Matt Stafford instead of Patrick Mahomes, who could
Ah,
have got him the little oomph to put him over the top. And if he does that, Manny, he wins his last 5 games. That means this organization is coming in hot and ready. The difference between Smooth Criminal and everybody else on this bracket, Smooth Criminal has been locked in playoff mode since week 7. Week 7. All these other coaches, they either been preparing, getting the playoff mindset and a must win since last week in week 12 when it was a must have. But we talk about Smooth Criminal who's been in the playoff mode of a must win since week 7.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
gotta
absolutely.
mean
Yeah,
something. That
yeah.
has to mean something when we talk about momentum. So I'm gonna ride with Smooth Criminal. Right here is my dark horse here in this bracket that could bust up everything here.
I think you know what I think it does mean something for him, to finally get to this point. But I think it's one of those things where it can become difficult because it's like, hey, I got to continue to keep my foot on the gas pedal, right? I can't
Mhm.
just be here in the playoffs and be content and say, yay, I'm in the playoffs. No, you got to continue to put your foot. So it'd be very interesting to see if that coach, that organization, can do just that. And then as we talk about these lower seeds, really you got to talk about the 1 and 2s, right? The guys who have the bye weeks, those who have put in the work all season and have been able to get to this point. And thinking about how this bye week affects them, it's going to really show us what kind of team this is. Because finally, after a whole season, you have a week off. It doesn't matter what your players do. And so it's really one of those things of, are you going to continue to keep your team ready? Are you going to continue to stay active and watching from a fantasy perspective of saying, okay, this guy's hot right now, man. He's been getting the rock a lot more. Or maybe this guy got hurt. I got to keep that in mind for next week. Is it going to be a week to week type of thing? Is he done for a good little while? Is he possibly going to be back by next week? So these two coaches, as much as they can think, oh, I have a bye week. I can take it easy. You still got to stay locked in because again, each one of these teams that play each other on the first week of the playoffs can easily come and upset you in your own home if you're not paying attention.
No, for sure. I mean, Smooth Criminal just did it to both of them in these past 2 weeks. It don't if that don't speak. So ranking does not matter in the playoffs. I don't know what will. You have to come ready and set the ball, no matter
Absolutely.
who comes into your home territory and challenge you. Because I promise you, if you don't understand underdogs, if you never believe an underdog, you're not gonna come in this game ready and they're gonna punch you in the mouth and you're not gonna know how to
Yep.
react. You're
Yep.
not gonna be able to bounce
Absolutely.
back. So I think even though you guys are on this bye week, you guys still need to be locked in on the other games that could be coming your way. Now, speaking on that, Team Luck, you at number 1 in these playoffs, anybody who's the lowest seed that comes out of these brackets is coming to see you.
Hmm.
That is the glory of being number 1. You get the quote unquote worstest team.
Easier game, right?
You know what I mean? Right. So you need to be locked in on these seeds and seeing who do you believe is most likely to come out based off what's been happening in these last couple of weeks. Who do you believe you need to start game planning for? Because quote unquote, like Manny said, you have the easier team coming your way. So it should be easier for you to start planning. So long as you guys ain't taking it too easy and not paying attention, especially when that could be somebody in that waiver wire still that could still come and
Absolutely.
help your
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Since the trade block had just passed, you can't trade no more. If you can find that gem still this late in the season to help you, you have to pay attention this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And, you know, as we look forward, right, to these playoffs and everything like that, I think it's really important to kind of take a step back and look back on the season that we've had. I mean, it's been exciting. It's been up and down. Teams have
Uh,
gone from being in the playoffs to being out of it, from kind of taking this league by storm to unfortunately fizzling out. And so there's a couple things that A-Dub and I would like to talk to y'all about. Kind of really having a season recap for the regular
yeah.
season. And I think it all starts really with some of the biggest surprises. And I don't think that there's a really a question about who it is, and I think that really is Smooth Criminals late season surge to get themselves into the playoffs. Again, at one point they were sitting at the bottom. They were sitting at 9, and it looked like it was over and done with. And like you said, ever since week 7, it's kind of been we got to stay perfect because if we don't, we're done. There's no way there's no way we play for the championship. So to me, I gotta say one of the biggest surprises is Smooth Criminal and their ability to kind of go from that really bad situation and say, man, we're not playing our best football right now, to then saying it doesn't matter if we're playing our best football right now because we're going to be playing our best football right now, and kind of sticking with your guys when injuries and things like that happen. I mean, again, we talked about it a lot. A lot of teams were affected by injuries this year, and I think one of the biggest ones is sure enough DMV Bombers. But nonetheless, everybody had to pivot some kind of way. So a big shout out to Smooth Criminal and their ability to get that done, man, and get themselves into the playoffs.
Most definitely, big shout out to them guys because, like I previously said, man, out of the last 5, they won 4, and it was must wins. Even that one loss affected them tremendously to the point where it was a chance they didn't make it, but they was able to come through. But since we talk about biggest surprise, that means we gotta recap and talk about our biggest disappointments this
Yeah,
season.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
honestly, I think there's two.
Yeah,
Ideally. I
yeah.
think we both could agree on one on being Coach MB, Manny, and I'll let you go ahead
Okay,
and break that down. But I just want to go ahead and mention the biggest disappointment for me is Coach Cam and Team Fuckum.
okay.
Star rookie coach.
Yeah, yeah.
Star rookie coach came in hot. I mean, taking down all the big names, the previous champion of the league from the previous season. He just came in and he had what it takes to get a win, you know. But he started fizzling out once he got to 5 wins. I believe he went 7 straight losses, week in and week out. And you could be like, okay, what could it have been? What did it change? And the biggest thing for him was Malik Neighbors. He kept depending on Malik Neighbors. And I believe I saw a stat that Malik Neighbors hasn't scored a touchdown since like September.
Yeah,
So when you
and that
have
kills you.
players
Yeah,
like that on ice and they supposed to be your big time wide receiver one, of course you're going to lose. Of course you're going to have bad weeks consistently. And since he did decide to make the move and pivot off of him and maybe go get some pieces, he decides to hunker down and be like, maybe he's going to change one of these weeks. I don't want to miss out on
right,
that.
right,
But that
right.
ultimately ended up costing him at the end of the season.
Yeah. You know what, AW, because we do have a segment that's talking about game changing moments, and we had kind of reserved that for week 12, right? This past week that just happened, and kind of helping the final standing and shaping that. But really, I'm gonna put that trade going to Malik Neighbors as a game changing moment because it did it kind of it affected both teams that were involved in the trade. One of them was Mills Mafia, right?
Yep,
And he had a bit of a I think he had a 2-game skid missing Malik Neighbors. And
yep,
Coach Cam seemed to be like the smartest coach in the world, trading for him.
yep,
And sure enough, he's getting all these points. And so we're like, man, Coach Cam just kind of finessed really Coach Justin in this kind of trade. And so we thought, man, great job by Coach Cam. And then sure enough, that one trade seems to kind of had fizzled out his entire season. So to me, that's a big time game changing moment because that shook up really both seasons. And so now Mills Mafia in the playoffs. And unfortunately, Coach Cam isn't. So I know he's a rookie coach, but us knowing him personally, he's one of those coaches that wants to take it all from the get go. And he's not going to take the excuse of, oh, it was his first year. He's a rookie coach. He's just kind of learning this stuff. He's not going to take that. So, I do kind of agree with you on that one in terms of being a bit of a disappointment, especially how hot he started. And then sure enough, yeah, we talked about it earlier. A coach and B man, another rookie coach in the league. I think the reason why this one is also a bit of a disappointment is just because of the fact that he did take that loss, and he was in playoff contention the whole year. Again, you win and you're in. That was purest way to say it. Win and you're in. And he just couldn't get it done, unfortunately. And again, when we talk about hindsight, right, there's plenty of it, but I think it was one of those things where we just didn't have those high scoring games. And yeah, it might help you in the regular season, but when you're trying to get into the playoffs, points matter. That's plain and simple. And so I think those two would probably be our biggest disappointments. Not to say that they're bad coaches, not to say that they're a bad
Not at
organization at
all.
all, but it's one of those
Not at
things
all.
where you know that you had those higher expectations. Unfortunately, you just didn't hit them. So I
Uh,
think both these coaches can take this as a learning lesson, right? And say, you know what, man, we're gonna come back better. We're gonna come back stronger. And so I think that both of them really do that. But again, it's just one of those things where it's like, man, you were right there. You were right there, and unfortunately, just couldn't finish the deal.
yeah, I mean, go ahead, sip this tea, take it however you want it, the brick over the head. But at the end of the day, you guys were rookie coaches in this league, and y'all was in contentions of making the playoffs the entire season,
Yeah.
all the way to the end. That
Yep.
has to mean something here in this
Right.
league.
Absolutely.
It has to. So don't be so down on yourself. Don't quit. Come back next season. Learn from what you did. Do something differently, and I promise you, we'll be saying something totally different about you guys next season. That's all I
Absolutely.
have to say about you
No.
guys. But
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And then again, we talked about this a lot, but I think it's worth mentioning one more time. Game changing moment in week 12 was kind of that three-player swap, basically, right? That allowed for Smooth Criminal to find himself into the playoffs. That solidified my apologies. That solidified every other team getting in, and then sure enough, MB not being able to get in there again. When we go through the 1 through 6, right? It is at the man at the top. He got his win, so that not much that happened there in team luck. Kamerica, the win against or the loss against Smooth Criminal sends him down to 2. If he would have won, he would have solidified himself at the top. Maybe had himself an easier path to the championship. We don't know, right? Because that's not the world we live in. Mills Mafia getting his win, finding himself in the playoffs. Mocity Menace solidifying himself in the playoffs as well. Team Fabo being able to find himself, even though with the loss, still gets himself into the playoffs because Shake and Bake was not able to close the door. And so I think that right there is the biggest game changing moment from week 12. Is that one game really decided everything.
no, I couldn't say it no better than myself. But all in this world is great. All in this world is cupcakes and rainbows to the day that it's not. But let's go ahead and move up off this, man. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about
As we
the
do always.
playoff
Yes,
bracket
sir.
again
As we
one
do
more time.
always, man. As we do always, we're going to go ahead and get these matchups of the week and upsets alerts for you. As you see the playoff bracket there. And so sure enough, you can see it. There's a lot, right? There's a lot of really good matchups that are happening in this week 1 in terms of
Yeah, yeah.
Smooth Criminal taking on Mills Mafia and then Mo City Menace taking on Team Fabo. And so I think for me personally, my game of the week and upset of the week are going to be all in one game. And that's going to be
Come on.
Smooth Criminal taking on Mills Mafia. These two, they were roommates, man. They've
Yup.
lived with each other. They've broke bread together.
Yup.
They've spent hour after hour after hour with each other.
Yup.
But all that doesn't matter. All that does not matter on this
Mm-hmm.
coming week. It is about getting into the playoffs, or my apologies, it's about getting into the next round, playing week 14 to try to get to week 15 and 16. Right now, right here, is the important aspect that you are in terms of being kind of trying to solidify yourself, right? Because again, Smooth Criminal, they're trying to solidify themselves as, man, we're not pretenders. We're not just some team that snuck in here and we're going to be gone by the first round. We're dangerous and we know we can be. But on the other side, Mills Mafia saying, man, I'm the defending champ. You think I'm an easy out? You got another thing coming. So it's two teams that's got a lot of pride. It's two coaches that got a lot of pride. They got a lot of history with each other. So I'm really excited to see how this one plays out. I'm really excited to see what the chat looks like as we kind of head into this week, man. Because again, two guys who have a lot of history with each other, really good friends, but unfortunately, we're looking for wins, not friendship, this coming week.
For sure. I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you with the game of the week and upset of the week. Smooth Criminal versus Mills Mafia. Coach A Dub versus Coach Barlow. You know what I mean? It gets no better than this. This is movie time
Yep,
gameplay.
yep,
And we gotta mention this. Mills Mafia, Coach Barlow, previous champion. Smooth Criminal, Coach A Dub, the first original champion here in this league. So this is
true,
champion versus
true.
champion here in this league going together in the first round of the playoffs. Now, I will mention this. Since the first year here in this league, Mafia has had smooth criminal number. No matter in year two or this year right here, Mills Mafia has not lost a smooth criminal since the first year with smooth criminal went and won the whole thing. So obviously this coach figured out Coach A Dub over there is smooth criminal and knows how to get it done. All he has to do is show it one more time this season to close the chapter, close the Cinderella story on Smooth Criminal and move on. Because for those who don't know, here in this league, the first round, one and done.
Yep, yep.
Second round, one
One
and
and done.
done.
Yes, sir.
You only get 2 weeks to compete in the championship round. So all the people who used to be like, I got this week to put up as many points as I can, and next week we'll see the differentials to see what we got to do for the next week.
Right,
No,
right,
this is
right.
just like another regular season format here in this league. Whatever your players do by that Monday is going to decide whether or not you're packing up to go home to get ready for the next season and have a decent draft spot, or you moving on into the playoffs
Trying to
and
go fight
still
for a chip.
competing for that
Yeah,
championship. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? So I'm really looking forward to this matchup right here. These coaches know each other
Absolutely,
very well. They
absolutely.
know their icks, their ticks, everything that under the moon about these guys. So, Manny, we got an exciting one right here.
We got ourselves a game, A-Dub. Absolutely. And again, I mean, one thing that we talked to Coach Barlow a lot, you know, in this in this show, and we've had him on a couple times, and I mean, he genuinely sounds obsessed with getting another Lombardi. That
Mm-hmm.
is, and I
Yeah,
think that's the best way to be for a coach. So again, we'll see if some embarrassing pictures kind of hit the chat, man, trying to get each other off their games, but again, roommates turn enemies at this point. We'll see how it goes. So very
yeah,
exciting. And again, on the other side, we don't want to ignore the love. And on the other side, this is going to be a big time game too. And so
for
we'll
sure.
see. We'll see. Kind of how this ends up being. Again, like you said, midnight on Monday. You're knowing if you're going home or if you're staying on. And so it's just going to be test after test for these teams. And so I mean, I'm really excited to see how this first round goes. Again, we got Thanksgiving football, Sunday night,
Mm,
full of Sunday,
mm,
Monday, man, it
mm.
is football up and down the place. And speaking of football up and down the place, once again,
Okay.
man, let's go ahead and talk about some of these games that we got going on for you this week. The reason why we have this beautiful league in the NFL, check out this slate of games. So, Chargers and Falcons going against each other, 1 p.m. EST on Sunday. So that's 12 if you're here in Central Time. These two teams trying to solidify themselves in the playoff picture. The Falcons kind of they're up and they're down and they're good and they're not. Trying to figure that out. And the Chargers under Coach Harbaugh, can they get this figured out? Because again, a Sunday or a Monday night loss to the Ravens, not the way that you want to get kind of late in this season, but it was hard fought. Again, a lot of people say there's no moral victories in football, and there might not be. But you said that you know we can hang with one of the top teams, so we'll see if they're able to kind of use that momentum against the Falcons. And then I think this one really one of the best ones, and the fact that it's not on prime time is kind of a shame. But
Yeah,
Eagles versus the Ravens at 4:25 EST on Sunday Central Time. I don't think there's much to be said about these two teams. These are two teams that are some of the best in the league. I mean,
yeah,
depending on what happens, this could very well be a Super Bowl matchup, and we're getting
yeah.
that here in the regular season. So
Get in the preview.
we will get to see really how these two teams match up best on best and who has the edge. Is it Lamar and that running game, or is it Jalen Hurts being able to sling it around the field? And again, you can't forget about Saquon Barkley. So really,
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
I think the test is on these defenses. Are you going to be able to stand up to the challenge, whether you're the Eagles or the Ravens? Can you stand up to the challenge and kind of get the job done? You might not play a perfect game, and that's fine, but you got to do just enough to get yourself the win. So very exciting to see how that one goes. And then sure enough, a marquee matchup, Sunday night football. Always love Sunday night football, man. 49ers
Sure.
and the Bills. 49ers and the Bills. That one is going to be a nice game against Sunday Night Football. You know what it is. The 49ers still look to be a strong team, but they just haven't gotten it together. Again, a lot of the injuries and things like that. CMC, unfortunately, doesn't kind of look like the person he once was. And I don't know if they're trying to kind of limit his touches or if they're worried about him getting injured again, or maybe he's just not being able to get that. But nonetheless, the Bills are hungry and they're tired of kind of being behind the Chiefs and now the Ravens and nobody really thinking about them getting into the postseason past, the first couple rounds. So they want to go. They want to say, hey, we're gonna solidify ourselves right here, right now, and find ourselves against a team that has a very good defense. Mind you, their offense is not particularly explosive right now, but nonetheless, very good defense. We got to test ourselves. So the Bills will be at home in the snowy weather, seeing if they can pick up a win.
Yeah. It's gonna
So
be a little
so
crazy.
these are difficult, but I think my three picks, A Dub. I think I gotta go. I go Chargers. I gotta go Ravens, and I gotta go Bills. I think that's my three. I think each one of these teams that I just picked kind of have that opportunity to get that win. I think the Bills, it might be a little easier because you are at home. The Ravens as well, but I like those three for my go.
Okay. I'm gonna also go with the Chargers.
Okay.
I think they are due for a bounce back game early, right after the loss against the Falcons. And the Falcons continue to struggle against top defensive teams, and the Chargers have a top defensive team when they are on the same night.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go Chargers. But in the Eagles and Ravens game, I'm gonna take the Eagles
Ooh.
because, like
Okay.
you said, it's ultimately gonna come down to who defense can step
Right.
up. And we
Right.
all been saying, I don't care if you listening to us. I don't care if you listen to Stephen A. Smith on First Take.
Right.
I don't care
Right.
if you listening to anybody reporting on a fantasy network. They will all say the same thing. The Ravens secondary is the most, and I'm talking about the most suspect secondary in the league. Almost every receiver, big time receiver or wide receiver two that plays the Ravens has a season high against them. Jamar Chase go for 50 points each time that he plays them. You had Drake London and go off
Right.
on them. It
Right.
just
Yeah.
doesn't matter who they play, they each go off. And the Eagles have wonderful receivers in AJ Brown and Devontae Smith if he plays there, even Goddard, you know. But you can't
Right.
forget
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, who just went for
No.
300 yards all purpose against a defense who's arguably better than the Ravens. So I have to go with the Eagles this week. And
Okay.
like you
Okay.
said, this is probably the easiest pick out of all the games this week. I'm riding with the Bills organization of the 49ers, who just lost to my, or if you can, I don't know if y'all can see that. I don't know
Nobody
if y'all.
wants to see
Hold on,
that.
wait.
Nobody
Let
wants to
me.
see
Let
it.
me. Let
You don't
me.
have to get closer. You don't have to do it. You really don't.
Okay, I just
We're
wanted to
fine.
make sure guys know what's going on over here. After getting that BTA for my Green Bay Packers, you can see that the offense just doesn't work without Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy did practice today. He did practice yesterday, and he's resting today. So he's trying to see if
Yep.
they can get him ready to go. But with them traveling all the way into the cold where it could possibly snow during the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
they might not want to risk injuring that in that weather. So he might be sad again, most likely. And with that being said, well, Allen is just not the way to go. So I got the Bills going ahead and
Yeah.
getting them an easy
Absolutely.
win, finishing off their Thanksgiving weekend, be able to sleep comfortably and eat them some ham and grape jelly cheese sandwiches for the last time. Because if you still eat Thanksgiving leftovers after Monday Night Football, you wrong. That's all I'm saying.
Now, listen, man. As we wrap up, from me personally, and I know from A-Dub and from everybody here at the Crash Out TV, man, we want to just wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Be with your families, be with your people, man. Be with the people that you're blessed to be with, whether it's your chosen family or the ones that God and life has put in your life. Whatever it is, man. Love your people, enjoy the time off for those of you that have it, and really, man, enjoy some good football because that's what it's going to be, right? So enjoy this week
Um,
again. You see what A-Dub and I are rocking, so you know how we're going on Saturday. You see what it
yeah,
is. You see what it is.
yeah,
Don't start
yeah.
showdown, baby. But you know what, man? We don't even gotta talk about it because it's burnt orange to the day we die. It's burnt orange
Wow.
to the day we die. Now, but again, enjoy the day with your family, man. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. I'm gonna go ahead and, as always, I'm gonna kick it to the man to sign us out. But from everybody here, man, enjoy your Thanksgiving week. Many blessings to your family, and really enjoy the end of this year.
Most definitely, man. If you made it to the end of this video, we really appreciate y'all. We showing y'all much love right now because you could have canceled it and turned it off at any point. And shout out to the people who even stopped and came back and finished it. A bigger shout out to y'all. Like always, like, subscribe, comment, let us know how you feel how the playoffs turned out here in this league, and comment how it turned out in your own league. Let
Absolutely,
us know what's
yeah,
going on in your stuff. But like Manny said, much love, much blessings to you and yours, your family, your friends. Reach out to them, whether you are at the table with them or whether or not you're not, and they hit your
right,
mind. I always
absolutely,
say
yeah.
that if somebody hits your mind, they're not in front of you, it's because God's telling you, like, maybe you need to check in with them.
Give them a
It
call,
don't have
yeah,
to
definitely,
be immediately. It could be a couple days and stuff like that. But as long as you give them a call, God letting you know that they might need you. And Thanksgiving is a big day where, call your people, tell them you love them. You know what I mean?
definitely,
Tell them,
definitely.
that you want to wish them a happy Thanksgiving. But from us here on the Crash Out League TV to you guys, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with nothing but eating, drinking, and football. Man, it don't get no better than that, man. But once again, it's your boy A-Dub, and I'm with my co-host Manny Boy, and we are signing out. Happy Thanksgiving, people.
Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.